After playing Fredbear and Friends Left to Rot, I can confidently say that it stands as the best Five Nights at Freddy's fan game I have ever played. The game offers a polished Five Nights at Freddy's experience with a small scale, easy to follow story. The mechanics feel great from the start to the end, and thanks to the amount of variety the game has, it never gets boring. Each night features new gameplay with new ways to stress you out and scare you, and not one night in the game feels inferior to the others. This made my experience while playing Fredbear and Friends Left to Rot fun all the way through. Typically, Fnaf fan games start to get frustrating or just flat out too difficult in the later nights, which often overshadows how well made the game is. However, with that trait not being present in this game, it was just such a joy to play through. And let me appreciate how polished this game really is. There is also a ton of extra content outside of that I want to talk about. But before I start the analysis, I just want to say that this is my personal opinion on what the best FNAF fan game is, and I am in no way saying that this is objectively the best fan game. So if you guys think another fan game is even better than this one, please let me know in the description, as I'm trying to play as many fan games as I possibly can. And who knows, it may even become a video in the future. Anyways, let's not waste any more time. Here's why I believe Fredbear and Friends Left to Rot is the best Five Nights at Freddy's fan game. Upon launching the game, we are met with a cutscene of Fredbear with his mouth covered by an out of order sign. We are then asked to replace Fredbear and Bonnie's parts with a different suit. These additional parts belong to the original withered Freddy and Bonnie before they were withered. We then place Chica next to the other two animatronics, and that concludes the first of many tapes we will interact with throughout this game. After this, we are sent to the menu, and this is where the real game starts. The game opens up with us riding in a car as a man tells us to make our way to the security room and shut off the cameras and audio system, as requested by the company. We are also told to hide under the desk if any animatronics roam into our office, as they will do that for security reasons. We are also told to look out for a prototype endoskeleton, which we will need to shine our light on if we encounter them. Once the man is done talking, we click on the door to enter the establishment, and this kicks off night 1 of the game, which is called the Observatory. We load into an office which features a computer in front of us with 8 cameras. To the right of us is a desk which is looking into a long hallway. We can flash our light down this hallway and also hide under the desk. Our goal for this night is not to survive until 6 AM, but is actually to, like the phone guy said, turn off all the cameras and audio. We need to do this by pressing these buttons that are located on each camera, and this is just such a cool mechanic for the night because you actually need to use these cameras to see how close Fredbear and Spring Bonnie are to reaching the hallway on your right. This adds a lot of strategy to the night, as you will need to make decisions on what cameras you should disconnect first and which ones can wait to the end. Disconnecting the video and audio also takes a long time, so you will need to be vulnerable while doing it. This leads to a lot of stressful moments in the night where you will be in the middle of disconnecting something when you feel a bad feeling that something is on your right. Are you going to stop the connection and restart your progress to check? Or will you commit to it and get it done and then check if the animatronics are there? The visuals of seeing Fredbear and Spring Bonnie towering over you is also just so terrifying. The animatronic designs just look so threatening, and it can sometimes be so shocking when you first see him right in your face that you can't even react fast enough to duck under the desk. I know this happened to me a couple times when I first played. There's also Prototype, who you will need to worry about, and to stop Prototype you will need to actively check Cam 3, and if you see him standing there you need to just press Ctrl to flash him, which will cause him to go away. I think it was great to add this third animatronic into the mix for the night, as it just adds that little bit more depth to the cameras, because now you will not just be going from camera to camera to shut them off, but you'll also need to be actively flipping back to Cam 3 to stop Prototype. After completing this night, we are then greeted with the second cutscene of this game. This cutscene opens with Freddy Fazbear, who tells us that we need to make sure his performance is in working order. We do this by using this little controller to test if his jaw, laugh, and body forward buttons are working. After completing that, we are brought back to the present moment and we are placed in front of this door. The man guiding us tells us that the first set of security animatronics should have been deactivated, and now we can move on to the next room, which is the storage room. The man then tells us to collect all these items sitting on the table before entering the door on our right, and this actually kicks off night 2 of the game, which is titled Storage. This night, while simple in concept, is actually really stressful. This time we are placed in front of a curtain, and we have this button that we can access on this side of the room, and we also have a door to our right. We complete this night by holding down this button next to the door, which makes it slowly open. Looking away from this door causes your progress you made while opening it to quickly go down. The game of course forces you to look away from the door, however, by having this animatronic named Max slowly peek his head out of the curtain. Whenever you hear Max peeking his head out of the curtain, you will need to quickly turn to the left and use the button to close the curtains again, before quickly returning to the door to make sure you don't lose too much progress. This is a very simple concept, but actually leads to a lot of decision making, which is why I love it so much. For example, a lot of times I would be a few seconds into holding the button when I would hear the sound of Max opening the curtain. This would put me in a hard situation. Do I try holding the door for a tiny bit longer to ensure I don't lose progress on the door during my time away? Or do I turn towards Max now and stop him immediately? This makes this part of the game so stressful as you're constantly juggling between the door and Max while slowly making bits of progress. Another genius thing about this night is that you can accidentally press the button to close the curtains when they have not opened yet, which will make the curtains actually open up all the way. This led to a lot of scenarios where I would think I heard Max when I didn't, which would make me quickly turn and push the button. And since the button opens the curtains, I then had to wait a few seconds before I was able to close them again, which costed me precious seconds of having the door open, pretty much setting me back to square one. The way the game punishes you for messing up in a way that makes it feel like it's actually your fault is just so cool, and makes a perfect gameplay section that feels tough but also fair. After getting the door open, we are able to immediately dip out of the storage room, which concludes our second night and brings us to our next interactive cutscene. In this one, we are testing out two arcade machines. The first arcade machine is called Golden Comet, and it is a little shooting minigame where we just shoot pizzas out of the air. The other arcade machine is a lot creepier though. It's called Sneaky Guy and has us playing as Freddy in a suit and a hat while we walk around empty rooms. The static on the minigame gets louder and louder until eventually the minigame ends. We are then told that that minigame is broken, and that concludes this VHS tape. Okay, so now for night 3, which is actually one of my favorites. This room is called Test Room 01, and it takes place in a bedroom. In this bedroom, we have a wind-up mouse toy hanging in front of us along with a door. To our right is another door, and behind us is a vent that we will need to slowly open. The night is similar to the last, as it has us opening a door very slowly while juggling animatronics. However, on this night, the vent will not go down, meaning we can take our time to keep the animatronics at bay. The first animatronic we will need to deal with is the guy that is hanging in front of us. To stop him from triggering a jump scare, it is pretty simple. We just need to make sure he is winded up at all times, which we can do by clicking on him and holding it down until he is winded. The other animatronic that is introduced, however, is our main threat. His name is N-Mowski, and just look how scary this guy is. N-Mowski will randomly throughout the night peek his head through either the front door or the right door, and we will need to press space to hyper flash him and scare him off. This turns the night into a horrifying balance of 3 different tasks you are trying to accomplish, and while this night is a lot easier than the previous 2, I just find it so scary. The imagery of seeing this giant animatronic peeking through the doorway only a few inches away from your face is just so horrifying to me. The fact that the vent is right behind you in this night also makes you feel like N-Mowski is right behind you and ready to kill you every single time you try to move it up a few notches. This night uses your own fear against you, as you will always be doubting how long you're spending opening the vent, always fearing that death is around the corner. Another thing I really like about this night is that it starts us off with the man talking to us. However, as he begins explaining to us what to do, his voice slowly glitches out. This caused a lot of panic for me on my first playthrough, because up to this point you were expecting him to explain what you need to do, but now that he's gone, it's all up to you to figure it out. Now the game does give you these prompts telling you which things are interactable, which is just such an amazing touch, by the way. More fan games need to do this, but they never really tell you what your goal is or how the best way of going about it is. After fighting off N-Mowski and crawling through the vent, we are taken to an exit door. However, when we try to click on the door to open it, this happens. After being jump scared, we spawn into what seems to be a repair room with a cassette tape in front of us. The tape has the original spring lock call from Five Nights at Freddy's 3 on it. We can also look to our left during this part to see Golden Freddy sitting against the wall. After this call is over, we move closer to the suit and open it up before crawling inside and putting it on. Upon putting on the suit, a phone call begins telling us how to put on a spring-lock suit as our vision slowly goes blurrier and blurrier before cutting to black. Next night up is night 4, aka Test Room 02, and this is by far the most in-depth and complicated night. This is due to the fact that this night is the most like a traditional Fnaf game, featuring cameras, multiple animatronics, and other similar mechanics. So basically we spawn in an office that has an open hallway in front of us. We have a power switch which can turn the power on and off, a camera for checking on the animatronics, and also a gas mask which we will need to put on periodically to keep our toxicity meter down. We can also turn around to check behind us, which will come in handy later. On the camera there are also 2 vents which Freddy and Chica can crawl into, along with buttons that deactivate these ventilation systems. Upon seeing Freddy or Chica enter the vent, we will need to use this button. However, it does have a drawback, and that drawback is that our toxicity meter will quickly go up. So as soon as Freddy and Chica are gone, you need to reactivate it ASAP. The vents are also the only place Freddy and Chica can come from, by the way. Foxy's mechanic is that he will appear in the hallway, and when he appears, you will just need to turn off the power for a few seconds to hide from him. Nothing too difficult, however, when mixed in with other encounters, it can be a huge inconvenience. And finally, best for last is Bonnie, who will randomly appear behind you throughout the night. When behind you, you can't actually do anything to get rid of him until he leans in to kill you, which he will do a few minutes after arriving. Once leaned in, you will need to turn around and hold space to turn on this fan and scare him away. And I believe this is by far the coolest animatronic mechanic in maybe the whole game. I love that you can't just get rid of him as soon as he appears, and you need to wait for him to lean in, as it builds so much tension throughout the night. When you are checking the cameras to find Chica and Freddy, or turning off the power to get rid of Foxy, the horrifying feeling that Bonnie could lean in at any moment torments you throughout the night, and makes sure you are on full alert the entire time. These animatronic mechanics may seem simple on their own, however they overlap perfectly and make an amazing office gameplay experience, with interesting mechanics and stress-inducing moments. Oh, and I forgot to mention, this night is actually time-based, which was a nice change of pace that I really liked. After our painfully long 6-minute shift ends, we are taken to a room with a taken apart spring lock suit in front of us. An audio tape plays which tells us to clean the animatronic suit. After spraying the suit with some cleaning products, the screen then fades to black and the 5th and final night begins. Night 5 is titled The Final Test. In this night, we are tasked with moving the suit from the backstage camera to the upper office room. Before I explain how we do that, let me explain our office layout. In this night, we are put in an office with a window in front of us, a door to the left, and a door to the right. We are also given cables which can be used to shock animatronics that are entering the office, along with a camera to move the suit around in the building. There are 4 animatronics we are dealing with on this night. The first animatronic is of course the suit, which we will need to move to the upper office like I said earlier. We do this by watching him closely on the camera and pressing this button when his eyes shut off. Once we do this, he will move a few cams closer to the room we need him in. If we do not pay attention to him, however, he will slowly approach our office before coming into the left door and killing us. The second animatronic on this night that is trying to stop us is Security Freddy. Security Freddy will appear in the window that is in front of our office, and in order to stop him, we need to drag this piece of paper over his eyes, which is just such a cool and creative mechanic in my opinion. I have never really seen anything like this in a Fnaf fan game before, and I just think it's really funny blocking his vision with this little piece of paper. Anyways, the third animatronic hunting us down is Security Bonnie. Security Bonnie will appear in the doorway to our right, and we will need to stop him by holding control to pull out our cables and clicking on him to shock him. I love this mechanic so much as well, because when you shock Bonnie, you get this amazing animation of him twitching around, which just looks super cool. It's not very often we get to see this type of animation in a Five Nights at Freddy's fan game, so I just appreciate stuff like this a lot. And last but not least, we have Security Fredbear, who will randomly appear on the cameras. To get rid of Security Fredbear, all we need to do is quickly press the reset camera button on the cam he is on. Failing to do this, however, will result in all the cameras turning off. This night was just so awesome to me, as it proved once again that this developer is capable of coming up with creative, cool gameplay features for the animatronics, and won't rely too heavily on common Fnaf gameplay tropes like most fan games do. The mechanic of sending the suit throughout the building also works so well, as it makes you utilize almost every camera in the building, while also making us multitask in order to complete the night. Once we do complete the night, we are taken to a screen with a single light bulb above us, as it brightens up to reveal the suit is right in front of us. We quickly get a notification to swipe down, however the button which is used to stop this animatronic is broken. The animatronic then springs forward and kills us. We then see a camera pointing towards the bathroom from Five Nights at Freddy's 1. Static fills the camera and then disappears again, revealing the suit waving at us, before once again fading to static. And that is the end of Fredbear and Friends Left to Rot. Well, at least the tragic ending, as there are actually 2 endings in this game, which is just so cool. So remember when we entered the door to go to the storage room? Well, if we actually disobey the guy commanding us around and instead turn left and walk down this dark hallway, we are taken to a keypad. If we then enter the code 321975, which is obtainable during the arcade minigames, the safe opens up, revealing to us a fully intact remote. We can then play through the rest of the game as normal, and once we get to that final cutscene of the suit in front of us, we can actually pull out the working remote and stop the suit. This unlocks a new cutscene where the tape guy tells us that Fredbear and Bonnie are being put away in boxes, and the company will be shutting down soon due to the CEO William Afton disappearing. We then see a final shot of the building with text that just reads, "The End." I seriously love this so much. It's so sick that if you actually diverge paths and find this secret remote, it gives you the ability to save yourself from the suit. I love when FNAF games do these alternate endings. It just adds that little bit more replayability and just makes the whole experience feel like you actually have agency in it. Now, I do have one complaint about this secret ending, however, and that is the fact that there is no way to get the good ending on your first playthrough, as the arcade sections come after the only opportunity you have to visit the keypad. This sucks in my opinion, because I think it would be so cool if you were able to figure this out on your first playthrough of the game. I mean, the satisfaction of stopping the suit at the end of the game only to find out later that that was only due to your smart thinking and exploration of the map would have been amazing. The developer should have seriously had the keypad hidden in a section that comes after the arcades in my opinion. But besides that minor nitpick, there is really nothing else I can say negatively about this game. Oh yeah, and I haven't even mentioned yet that this game features an extra menu and a completely new mode, which is a custom night, with traditional office gameplay like we are used to in most FNAF games. And I was fully expecting this to just be a reskin of the Night 4 office, just with the other animatronics added, but no. The developer actually went out of his way to make a completely brand new area and mechanics for this custom night. There are also extras featured in the game where we can see character models, replay mini-games and cutscenes, screenshots of the game's development, and also an insane mode, which does take place during the Night 4 section of the game, only with extremely aggressive animatronics. Both Insane Mode and Custom Night also feature their own exclusive endings, which I will play right now. So here's the Insane Mode ending.
I'm terribly sorry it had to end this way. Maybe there's a way to communicate with him? Probably not. But after you're done, I'll send in a team to go after Afton.
And here is the Custom Night ending. So yeah, it goes without saying that this game not only has stunning visuals, polished original gameplay ideas, and a cool, easy to follow story, but it is also packed full of content for a FNAF styled game, with enough stuff to hold you over for a few hours even after completing your first playthrough. All of these reasons are why I believe Fredbear and Friends Left to Rot is the best FNAF fan game I've ever played. I'll leave a link down in the description if you guys want to check it out for yourself. And with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.